they'll testify.
So, Thomas, you want to share with us your IT baller story?
Thanks. Hi, I'm Thomas Mangan. I'm the VP of IT and Production Design at Topan Vintage. Topan Vintage is a leading international financial printing, communications, and technology company. We provide software and services for capital markets transactions, investment companies, and financial reporting. In 2013, Topan opened a new standalone office in New York City that would operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, instead of staffing to handle the IT overhead associated with configuring, supporting, and managing a fleet of traditional PCs, we sold senior management on the benefits of thin clients. This would be the first Topan Vintage office to completely rely on virtualized servers, desktops, and thin clients. Our initial months were spent building the technology that would become the company's product offering, but we also evaluated products and solutions for our virtualized infrastructure. We demoed endpoint products from HP, Dell, Wise, and Panalogic, and went so far as to even construct a proof of concept environment on top of a few desks in a Regis office. After a few weeks of use, my CTO David and I decided on Panalogic and had a quote, quantities, licensing, and pricing drawn up. The only thing left to do was to get authorization from our parent company. Same morning we received authorization to proceed, we were notified that the vendor had suddenly and completely stopped or halted operations. A significant delay at this point could impact other aspects of the office build-out. And it's really out of the blue situations like these that I feel I lose a bit more hair and gain a bit more gray. So at this point, we had to scramble to bring our second choice vendor up to speed while also convincing our management team that that vendor would perform just as well, all without losing too much time in the process. So a little bit more than a week later, we were back on track. However, the offering from the second vendor lacked three key features. One, it was missing a strong device management suite. The second was there was no ability to easily handle device reconfiguration changes at remote offices. And the third was a lack of remote support capability built into the device. So the vendor shutting down was the most unexpected challenge we ran into, but the fully virtualized new office ultimately went live and on schedule and within budget. Now, flash forward to 2017, our company just acquired our just completed our largest acquisition to date. The combined company now had double the number of employees and multiple remote offices. The 100 or so thin clients that we had installed years ago were still missing those three aspects that were now critical requirements. So these new remote offices would all use our New York-based VDI. So these three thin client capabilities were now essential to make this a successful rollout. So we needed a powerful tool that can manage devices in our remote offices as well as those in our headquarters. The second requirement was that we also needed the device to connect to different desktop environments. Our old environment was VMware-based, and our new environment would use Citrix and Nutanix. So during the transition, we'd have teams going back and forth between the old and new environments, and we needed something that would enable them to connect to both. And lastly, to support the users without adding additional IT staff to our two-person team, we needed the ability to perform desk-side support to the staff in the new remote offices, all without using additional software. So I had seen iGel 2 years earlier at a tech conference and was really intrigued by the solution. After doing some research, I arranged for an on-site demo. The Universal Management Suite demo really highlighted how easy it was to meet each of our three requirements, just using the iGel platform. After the debacle that we faced in 2013, we did a bit more research into iGel as a company, and based on that research, we were confident moving forward. After nearly 2 weeks of questions and answers, we had authorization to sign purchase orders. The next few days after signing, we worked with an iGel sales engineer who guided us through configuring the UMS. We started out by creating simple rules, which were then combined into site-based policies. Because we were rolling out nearly 200 thin clients with only a two-person IT team, the goal was to have these policies auto-applied to thin clients depending on the network they connected to, essentially allowing them to configure themselves on boot. Our two primary locations were the first scheduled to be converted to the new environment. An entire 3-day weekend was allocated with the sole purpose of getting the nearly 200 thin clients up and running between the two primary locations. So to cut down on time, and because we were only 2 people, we had maybe half a dozen volunteers attaching our new iGel-based workstations, powers, monitors, keyboards, and mice. These volunteers were also part of our backup plan just in case something went wrong and we had to revert. So after the cabling was verified and everything looked good, David and I watched the first device in our production area power up, flash to the desktop, and then appear to shut down. In those few seconds, and with a bit of panic, I asked, if this doesn't come up with the correct policy, could we really manually reconfigure 200 devices before Monday? So whenever you're implementing new tech, there's always a bit of finger crossing you do when you flip the switch on a new system. If there was a problem, we would only have until Monday morning to get this right, or risk rolling back everything. So before David could answer my question, the IGL device beeped twice, the screen flickered back to life, and it showed the desktop wallpaper that we had pre-configured in the UMS as part of the New York policy. Holy smoke, it worked. We were overjoyed. So just to make sure it wasn't a fluke, a few more of the devices were powered up. We asked our volunteers to test their logins, and each one was successful. The result at each IGL device was the same. Each UD3 was coming up as if it had been pre-configured for us at the factory. The results at the remote site were also positive, with remote helpers able to power up the devices and log into their desktop sessions on both the old and the new environment. Ultimately, our implementation was measured in hours instead of days, and was completed very late that same Friday night instead of extending to the rest of the weekend. So that first IGL implementation is still a key aspect and one of the easiest new startups I've been a part of to date, and it really proved to us that we chose the right product for this rollout. So that's my story. Thanks for listening. Thanks for making a great product.
I'm an IT baller, shot caller, HCI servers. I'm the installer. Tech scholar getting paid tonight. My VDI.